Pixar just casually created a world where a single raindrop could kill you, where touching the wrong person means instant death. Fire, water, earth, air. 4 elements that should never mix, but they built an entire city together. So here's the question nobody's asking. Which element would actually win? Let's find out. Element City looks peaceful, right? Wrong. This place is a battlefield disguised as a metropolitan paradise. Every element here is playing a survival game, and the rules, they were written by whoever got there first. Spoiler alert, it was water. Water designed this entire city around themselves. The wetro, the canals, the infrastructure. Everything flows because water said so. Then Earth showed up, started building, laying foundations, creating structure where water left empty spaces. Air floated in third, literally just drifted into town and found a spot in the clouds. And fire? Fire came last, and boy, did the city make them feel it. No fire zones, water hazards everywhere, a world designed to keep flames contained, controlled, and constantly reminded they don't belong. This isn't just a love story, this is a power struggle. And we're about to find out who's really running the show. Let's talk about the element everyone forgets exists. Air. You know Gale, right? Wade's boss, giant cloud lady with the personality of a thunderstorm and the volume to match. She's loud. She's in charge at City Hall. She makes decisions that affect people's lives. But here's what's wild about Air in this movie. They're everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Think about it. When's the last time you saw an air element do something memorable in Element City? The Windbreakers play airball at Cyclone Stadium. That's it. That's their contribution. Sports, entertainment, background decoration. Sure, Gale can summon lightning when she's angry. She can create bubbles to protect people underwater. But what does Air actually build? What do they create that lasts? Nothing. Air doesn't construct buildings, doesn't forge metal, doesn't connect the city through transportation. They just exist in the spaces between everything else. And look, I get it. Air is essential. You need it to breathe. It's literally everywhere. But in a city where presence equals power, where influence means leaving your mark, Air is invisible. They have authority, sure. Gale sits in City Hall making policy decisions. But when's the last time someone said, wow, Air really changed this city? Never. That's why Air ranks dead last. Not because they're weak, but because in a world that rewards visibility and impact, Air is the element you forget is even there. Now let's talk about Earth. Meet Claude, sweet kid, heart-shaped head, growing plants out of his armpits like it's totally normal. He's got a massive crush on Ember, brings her flowers made of dirt, thinks they have a future together. Spoiler, they don't. But Claude represents everything Earth is in Element City. Steady, reliable, always there when you need them, and completely taken for granted. Earth elements are the backbone of this city. The construction crews, the laborers, the ones actually building everything while water takes credit for the design. They're strong, insanely strong. You need a foundation that won't crack? Earth's got it. A wall that'll stand for centuries? Done. Something that won't break no matter how much pressure you put on it? Earth doesn't even break a sweat. Let me introduce you to Fern Grouchwood. This guy works at City Hall, and he's literally grown into his job. Plants sprout from his body, vines cover his desk, roots anchor him to the floor. He hasn't left that office in years, maybe decades. And that right there, that's Earth's greatest strength and biggest weakness all in one image. Earth doesn't quit. Earth doesn't give up. Earth stays exactly where you put them and does the job until the sun burns out. But Earth also doesn't adapt. They don't pivot. They don't improvise. They don't change course when the situation demands flexibility. You ask an Earth element to change the plan mid-project, and they'll stare at you like you just suggested demolishing the pyramids. Change? We don't do that here. In a fight, Earth wins through endurance. Not speed, not creativity, not strategy. They just outlast you. They're the reason Element City hasn't collapsed into the canals. They're the foundation holding everything together. But foundations don't lead revolutions. Backbones don't write history. Earth is third place, essential but overlooked, strong but slow, the element that keeps the world running while everyone else takes the credit. Every element has a role, a purpose, a reason this whole city doesn't fall apart. But here's the thing about power. It's not just about being useful. It's not about being essential. Real power is about changing the game, about making the world bend to your will instead of just supporting whatever world already exists. In some elements, they're better at that than others. Wade Ripple seems harmless, right? Emotional, sensitive, cries at everything, literally made of tears half the time. Don't be fooled. Water is the most dangerous element in Element City, and they want you to think they're harmless. Let me tell you what water can do. Wade morphs into a parachute when Ember falls from a building, becomes a cushion to soften her landing, turns into a bridge when there's a gap to cross. He slips through cracks, thinner than paper, flows under locked doors, squeezes into spaces that shouldn't physically fit anything. Water doesn't fight obstacles. It just waits, finds the weak spot, and flows right through. You can't trap water. Pour it in a container and it becomes that container. Freeze it and it expands until the container explodes from the inside. Water doesn't break your defenses. It becomes your defenses, then shatters them from within. And here's the scariest part. Water built this entire city. The canals, the wetro, the infrastructure, everything designed around water's needs. Earth thinks they built Element City? No. Earth just added walls to the city water already designed. Fire thinks they carved out Firetown? Wrong. Fire squeezed into the only space water didn't want. Water doesn't need to fight for control. They already have it. Watch Wade on his date with Ember. He runs across the water's surface, creates a rainbow out of thin air, turns a simple moment into magic. Water can be beautiful, gentle, romantic, but it's also patient, relentless, unstoppable. When the dam breaks at the end of the movie, water doesn't ask permission, doesn't negotiate, doesn't apologize. It just comes. And fire runs for its life. Because fire knows the truth everyone in Element City knows. In a direct fight, water always wins. So why isn't water number one? Because water has one critical weakness that fire doesn't. Without structure, without direction, without something to contain it, water is just chaos. Wade needs someone to tell him what shape to take, what purpose to serve, where to flow. Left alone, water spreads, becomes a flood, a puddle, a mess with no meaning or direction. Water is everywhere, but without focus, it's nowhere. That's why water comes in second. Not because it's weak. Water might be the most powerful element in raw capability. But power without purpose is just destruction. And that brings us to the element that doesn't just have power. It has vision. Ember Lumen is angry. Not sometimes, not occasionally. All the time. And you know what? She has every right to be. Fire came to Element City with nothing, faced rejection at every turn, got shut out of neighborhoods, denied housing, pushed to the margins. Bernie and Cinder arrived at the city gates with hope and got doors slammed in their faces. So they built their own world. Firetown, the fireplace, a community forged from rejection and determination. And that's what fire does. It doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't ask if it's allowed. Fire just burns. Watch Ember lose her temper in the basement. Pipes burst, glass shatters, the entire room erupts like a bomb went off. That's raw power, unfiltered, uncontrolled, dangerous. But here's what everyone misses about fire. Fire doesn't just destroy. Fire creates. She takes raw sand and transforms it into art, melts metal and shapes it into tools, bakes clay and turns it into pottery. Fire is the only element that fundamentally changes what it touches. Water flows around things, earth holds things up, air moves things along. But fire transforms. When Ember gets hot enough, her flames turn blue, then white, temperatures that should be impossible. At that heat, she can cut through steel, vaporize water before it touches her, turn sand into glass in seconds. She becomes a living furnace capable of remaking the world around her. But fire's power comes with a price. Burn too hot for too long and you consume yourself. Run out of fuel and you're gone forever. Fire is powerful because it refuses to be contained, because it creates rather than just exists. But it's also fragile. One splash of water, one strong wind, one moment of weakness, and the flame dies. Everyone in Element City knows the rule. Fire and water don't mix. Can't mix. Shouldn't even try. Touch a fire element and water evaporates. Touch a water element and fire dies. It's physics. It's nature. It's just how the world works. Except Ember and Wade prove everyone wrong. Ember learns to cool her flames, not extinguish them, just lower the temperature enough that Wade doesn't boil away. Wade learns to flow slower, to hold his form instead of splashing against her heat. And together, they create steam. Steam isn't fire, it isn't water. It's both and neither at the same time. It rises where fire can't reach. It flows where water can't go. It moves through walls and fills entire spaces. Steam is fire's heat carried by water's flow, the perfect combination of both elements working together. This is what power really looks like. Not domination, not control, but collaboration. Fire alone burns out too fast. Water alone spreads too thin. But together, they become something neither could be alone. And that's the secret Element City forgot. Power isn't about being the strongest. It's about knowing who makes you stronger. When the flood comes, every element faces their limits. Earth tries to hold back the water. Too slow, too rigid. Water finds every crack and tears right through. Air creates barriers and bubbles. Temporary at best, water overwhelms them in seconds. Fire runs because fire knows how this ends. Water always wins this fight, always has, always will. But Wade doesn't run. He dives in, becomes part of the flood, uses water's own power to control it from within. And Ember doesn't give up. She heats herself to temperatures that should kill her. Blue flame, white flame. Heat so intense it vaporizes water on contact. The dam breaks, the city floods, Wade disperses into steam while saving Ember's father's blue flame. Ember believes she's lost him forever. But then she realizes something. Wade isn't gone, he's in the air, in the steam, in the moisture clinging to every surface around her. Water doesn't die, it changes form. And as Ember's heat fills the room, condensation begins to form. Drop by drop, Wade comes back, not because fire controls water, but because fire created the conditions water needed to return. That's the moment you realize something. Fire might be the most powerful element, but it needs water to reach its full potential. Alright, let's settle this once and for all. Fourth place, air. Gale has authority at City Hall, the windbreakers have fans, air exists everywhere. But in terms of actual power, impact, the ability to change Element City, air is invisible, forgettable, essential but overlooked. They're the element you need but never notice, and in a ranking of raw power, that puts them at the bottom. Third place, Earth. Earth is the backbone, the foundation, the only reason Element City hasn't sunk into the canals. They're strong, reliable, unbreakable. But Earth doesn't lead, doesn't adapt, doesn't change course when the world demands it. They're the support beam holding everything up, critical, essential, but not the main event. Second place, water. This one hurts because water is arguably the most powerful element in raw capability. They built Element City, they control transportation, they adapt to any situation, they can become anything. Wade can go anywhere, survive anything, outlast everyone. In a direct fight, water beats fire every single time. So why second place? Because power without purpose is just destruction. Water needs direction, needs structure, needs someone to tell it what to become. Without that, water is just a flood, powerful but purposeless. And that brings us to first place. Fire. Fire doesn't just survive. Fire doesn't just exist in the world. Fire transforms it. Fire takes raw materials and turns them into something new. Melts metal, shapes glass, forges tools, creates art. Fire built Firetown from nothing when the entire city said no. Fire powers forges, runs businesses, lights up the darkness. Yes, fire is dangerous. Yes, water can extinguish it. Yes, it burns out if it goes too hot for too long. But fire has something no other element has. Vision. Fire doesn't wait for the world to change. Fire changes the world. And when fire finds balance, when it learns control, when it partners with water instead of fighting it, Ember and Wade creating steam together, fire becomes unstoppable. Here's what Element City teaches us about power. It's not about being the strongest, or the fastest, or the most adaptable. Air provides atmosphere and mobility. Earth creates foundations and stability. Water connects and flows. Fire transforms and creates. Alone, each element has fatal weaknesses. Air can't build anything lasting. Earth can't adapt quickly enough. Water has no direction without structure. Fire burns itself out. But together they built a city that shouldn't exist. A place where opposites don't just coexist, they thrive. Fire ranks first because it transforms the world, because it creates rather than just maintains. But without water to balance it, earth to ground it, and air to give it room to breathe, fire just burns everything to ash. The real power isn't in the element itself. It's in what happens when they stop fighting and start building together. 4 elements, 4 kinds of power. Air moves freely but leaves nothing behind. Earth stands strong but won't bend. Water flows everywhere but needs direction. And fire creates. Fire transforms. Fire refuses to be contained. But ranking them misses the entire point of Pixar's movie. Element City doesn't run on competition, it runs on collaboration. Ember and Wade proved everyone wrong, showed the city that impossible connections can work, that fire and water can create something beautiful together. And that's more powerful than any single element could ever be. Because the strongest force in Element City isn't fire's heat, it isn't water's adaptability, it isn't earth's strength or air's freedom. It's the willingness to understand each other, to find balance, to create something new instead of destroying what's different. That's the real power. And honestly, that's the power we all need a little more of. See you guys at our next story. Don't forget to like and subscribe.